Hey everyone, today I will be live coding updates to Coop Records earning page using AI tools. I'll be refactoring the revenue display to show your earnings. I'll be filtering songs to only include the songs that you are earning from, fixing the lifetime earnings to reflect your wallet's total, and removing the withdrawal button because we're paying out automatically every 30 minutes, and securing earnings data with wallet connections. Watch me tackle these improvements step by step. Let's get started. Step one, I'm going to define these tasks inside of Linear. Let's share screen. Bypass system private, window picker directly, sure, whatever. Let's share screen. And let's start by making some new tasks. First one, primary revenue. I want a new column with your earnings. So let's go plus P1 primary revenue, your earnings, actual primary revenue. Let me see what it actually looks like. Coop records.xyz/earnings. This is the production page that I've been building out. Yeah, I think we just wanted a new column or new column. Yeah, we said new column. It's just new column. Your earnings. Primary revenue displays the total amount a song has earned, but we do not show the final amount that the wallet of the connected wallet has earned. Primary revenue displays the total amount that a song has earned, but we do not show the final amount that our owner of the connected wallet. The amount that the connected wallet, we can remove the owner of. Final amount that the connected wallet has earned. Required. Add a new column titled your earnings, which displays the percentage of primary revenue which was earned by the connected wallet based on the percentage ownership the connected wallet has of this song. Add a new column titled your earnings, which displays the percentage of primary revenue which was earned by the connected wallet based on the percentage ownership the connected wallet has of the song. This ticket looks good. We take the ticket, we throw it into AI, into an LLM. We take the rest of the required and actual, paste it in here, and then AI gives us a cleaned up ticket. This is the constant little back and forth we do. We have an idea, we document the idea, we give the idea to AI to refine, we take that refined idea, and then we implement it off. New column, your earnings, take this text, paste it, and we now have our first ticket. Let's keep moving. Next one is P1 filter 0% ownership. Actual. If I visit the earnings page, I can see every single song, regardless of if my ownership percentage is greater than 0 or not. Any song on the earnings page where the percentage ownership is 0 should be hidden from the list so that I, as an artist, only see the songs which I am earning from. Okay, if I visit the earnings page, I can see every single song, regardless of my ownership percentage is greater than 0 or not. Any song on the earnings page where the percentage ownership is 0 should be hidden from the list so that I, as an artist, only see the songs which I am earning from. Looks perfect. Repeat the loop. Take the ticket that I wrote with my voice using just riffs of my ideas, paste it into AI so that it can clean it up and make it a little bit more understandable, both to myself and to my team and to the suite of AI tools that I'll be giving these tickets to. And then we move on to the next ticket until we've completed all of our tickets, and then we start implementing. So next ticket, that's ticket 2 of 5. Next one, lifetime earnings. Connected wallet. Lifetime earnings is showing the total amount of ETH earned across the platform. Lifetime earnings shows the specific amount of ETH I have earned the connected wallet has earned in protocol fees across the songs that they own, specifically for the Create Tour fee. Specifically for the creator fee. Okay. Actual lifetime earnings is showing the total amount of ETH across the platform earned. Across the platform. Required is that lifetime earnings show the specific amount of ETH and USD conversion the connected wallet has earned in protocol fees across the songs that they own specifically. Let's keep it a little bit simpler. Paste. Paste. This is ticket 3 of 5. We've already done our voice note implementation of the ticket. Here's what I'm reading from, by the way. So in my meetings with my teams tell me feedback on what they want built. You can see I write it down, handwritten, stuff like primary revenue, 0% ownership, withdraw button, what we're working on now of lifetime earnings. These are like one sentence, my scribbles saying, in the meeting, this is how I'm interpreting it. It's only in text that I understand. If I gave this to someone else, they might not understand it. What I'm doing now is I'm taking the simple text that I wrote down during a meeting, I'm formalizing it and adding it to my backlog. Once it's in the backlog, it then becomes much easier for us to actually build tickets around it and implement those features in a trackable way. So I can now take this text that I wrote, that the model wrote based off of my voice notes, based off of my written notes, create that ticket, move on to the next one with, this is P1 withdraw button. Actual, there's a withdraw button on the page, even though withdrawals are happening automatically every 30 minutes on base. Required : remove the withdraw button because we are already automatically distributing earnings directly into the artist's wallet every 30 minutes on base. Okay, withdraw button. Actual, there's a withdraw button on the page, even though withdrawals are happening automatically every 30 minutes on base. Required is that we remove the withdrawal because we are already automatically distributing earnings directly to the artist every 30 minutes on base. This is something I really love about on-chain infra, is for the music industry. In a world where musicians are used to getting paid 6 months later, we have built a solution on base, on chain, where by publishing your music on chain, you get paid automatically every 30 minutes. Let's compare those two. Musicians publishing on traditional infrastructure like Spotify and Apple Music, you get paid once every 6 months. Let's hope you don't need that money to pay rent. Compare that to base, where you get paid automatically every 30 minutes. If you need that money to pay your rent or to feed your family, great, you'll have it in 30 minutes. If we wanted to make it every minute, we could make it even faster. 30 minutes is just the cadence that we've set at. The record label CoopRex told me to set it at a day. A day I wasn't really able to monitor it like I wanted to, and so I increased the cadence to 30 minutes so that artists are getting paid faster. I'm able to track the data more. And we're just building better systems on chain, on base. Let's take this and let's do the next ticket. I'm yapping a little bit too much, so I think I'm going to go back to being a little bit more focused on the tasks I'm doing and less on the audience. I really don't even read what the AI wrote. I just assume that it's doing a good job because we built that rapport. I think this last ticket's already going to be done based off of the first one, because if my wallet's not connected, my percentage ownership should be 0. So for now, I'm actually not going to write this ticket, and let's get started building these changes. I like new tickets to be at the top. I think it's easier for me to find, so I'm going to move these tickets up. Once we move the tickets up, let's actually open up our code base. So I'll go to my terminal, and from here, I'll change directory into the directory where all my projects are. In this case, it's inside of a directory I've named Coop. And then inside of here, we've got a collection app, which is where the earnings page is. Open up this app inside of Cursor so I can start playing around. And I see we've got our first comment of the day. Someone is tuned in. We've got Khalil Mohammed Ayob Sayah. Good to see you. Sorry, where can I find the description of the project you're actively working on? That's a great question. Let me throw up a QR code in the top right for KoopRex. There it is. So if you check in the top left of this video, you'll see a QR code that is showing the link to the production app that I'm building. So if you want to see what I'm building, just scan that QR. You'll go and you'll see the page that I've already built. And you can see the record label that exists on chain. All right, so now that we've got our code base open, let's open up my roadmap, which is where I save all of my tickets. Dynamic ownership percentage based off the connected wallet. I've already completed that ticket. 77, double sevens, starting off on a good number. This isn't full screen, make it full screen. We don't need our terminal full screen anymore. We got what we needed. All right, let's start copying these tickets into my roadmap. Open up the first ticket, paste the title, paste the description, and I'm going to have it get started while I'm still writing so that it can run unimpeded. Please prepare your scratch pad for step 77. And now I'll copy the branch. Let's go to my Get tab. To my branch name, we'll create the new branch and publish the branch. Once we've published, I will pull the latest changes from main. Let's pull from origin main. Let's see how many changes have happened since the last time I pushed. If it's only 2 or 3, that's probably just me. Maybe there was one other dev that pushed, but not a ton of changes other than the changes that I'm making. And so it's still running ahead and it's building out the changes. I'm going to keep defining the tasks while it goes through implementing the tasks. 78, paste in the title, copy the description, paste the description, delete the empty lines so my formatting works. Now we move on to 79. Lifetime earnings, connected wallet. How long is it going to take me to get the first pull request created? Looks like it's stopped writing, so let me check in with where it's at to unblock it. Current task, add your earnings column. Context, need to add a new column showing specific to the connected wallet. Earnings must calculate based on ownership percentage and total revenue. Will display alongside the existing columns. Requirements analysis, add new your earnings column to the earnings table. Calculate the earnings based on total revenue of the song. Connected wallets ownership percentage. Must handle different scenarios. Direct funds wallet 100%, no split contract recipient partial percentage, or non-recipient 0%. Implement changes, UI change, add the new column, style to match the existing column, format the currency values consistently. Data calculation, use existing ownership percentage calculation, multiply tool revenue by ownership percentage, handle edge case of no revenue or undefined percentage. Integration, let's update the table row component, ensure reactive updates. Seems like it's heading in the right direction. Proceed with implementing this feature. Just copy that, send it on, let it proceed. And now I'm going to go back to what I was doing in the roadmap. Close others, move on to our fourth and final task of the day. Oh, and we got a kitty joining us. If you don't already know, this is my kitty, Solana. She loves coding. So anytime she can, she finds a way to get on my desk, and she's my co-pilot. In reality, she writes all the code. You guys think it's me, but usually I'm not showing you my hands. This is actually the coder that codes everything I've ever built. I'm just a yapper. I do all the talking, she does all the coding, and that is how we do it. So this is Solana. She's my baby girl. My co-pilot, my favorite pair programmer. Uh-oh, you're starting to write. Let's close this chat comment. It looks like we got someone else replying, so let's see if we have any more text that we want to. Looks like Khalil said thanks. No problem, Khalil. Thanks for tuning in on YouTube. We don't get a lot of YouTube subscribers, so thank you for tuning in. And if you have any more questions, please let me know. I'll be taking note of this chat throughout the talk today. All right, so it started implementing the changes. We've added a Your Earnings tab. And now let's update the releases table row. Ownership percentage is using ownership percentage. Number is not assignable to type string. I actually think ownership percentage should be a double or a float, because number infers it's a whole integer, I believe. But in reality, it's not a whole integer. It's going to be fractions, percentages. I would like this to be its own component. Please create a new standalone component for Your Earnings. I do not want this file to get longer. We want to follow the single responsibility principle, which states that each component should do exactly one thing. This component is a row, and so inside of that row, there are individual cells. And so if one cell requires work, I would like to create a new component just to represent that cell, so that the row component just focuses on the row, and the individual cell component can focus on the work that the cell needs. That keeps our file simple. It keeps all of our components composable and modular, which keeps our code clean and easier to maintain and build on moving forward, which allows us to iterate faster, which means that we can continue to keep our pace high. We want to have a high cadence of release, so that way we can get feedback and implement that feedback in a very quick loop, which allows us to stay on the frontier of publishing on-chain music agents. Boom, now we're integrating the new cell. We've deleted a little bit of code. Ownership percentage, number is not assignable to type string. Let's just have chat fix it. Please keep it concise. I love that line, concise. We want all changes to be simple and concise. We need this fixed before we can push, because if not, the build will fail because of the TypeScript error. All right, looking better. Let's push it. We go to our roadmap, save the changes. Well, I don't want these zeros. That was from Solana. And now we copy the node, paste the node into our commit message, commit the changes, push the changes. And I'm going to collapse this because my goal is not to do any coding locally. Let's wait for that deploy and start opening up our pull request. In order to do that, I will head over to GitHub for KubeRex in the collection app. Let's compare and pull. I'll now need Slack open. So let me get that app open, create the pull request. And let me do a quick code review. See if everything looks okay. Earnings cell, this is the big new file. We calculate earnings based off of the revenue and the ownership percentage. I'm wondering if use ownership percentage could be moved into the component. I'm surprised. Where's ownership percentage? Revenue. Ownership cell. Is this using that hook? This is using that hook. So we have two options here. I don't like that this hook is being called inside of the row component. And so we could follow the model of ownership cell and define it inside of the cell component, which means that we are going to be making more API calls, which is going to be slightly slower. Or if possible, we can include this inside of a provider and then use reference to value in both components. And what that would do is it would allow fewer calls, but greater access to that data. And so I think I've already decided I'm going to use a provider. Please add this hook to a provider so that it can be accessed by both ownership cell and earnings cell. Let's see if it can do that. Can it create the provider, wrap the components in a provider, and then allow me to consume that provider information in the local components, thus saving the API calls, keeping our code clean, and making our data more accessible across the app. Creating an ownership provider. We've got a lot of people tuned in. We've got 816 people and we're only 22 minutes in. That tells me that the Base team probably retweeted us. So shout out Base. They allow us to build this record label on chain, and they give us great infrastructure to allow musicians to get paid fast, easy, and for low costs. Less than a penny, less than a second, we're able to distribute funds on chain. And that's only because of companies like Base. Oy. Get ownership percentage should be imported. Use ownership percentage. Use ownership is now coming from the provider. Get ownership percentage. Use ownership. Get ownership percentage needs a royalty recipient and a chain ID. This is feeling a little convoluted, the solution. I'm not super happy with it. So before we commit this, I'm going to make sure to clean it up a bit. We got a provider. We updated the ownership cell. No changes were made here. So this one actually wasn't updated. Earnings cell was updated to use the hook. Okay. So the first thing I want to do is go back to the, please update this hook to use, I'm sorry. To use the existing hook instead of defining it again. And that hook is use ownership percentage. Yes, we should reuse the existing hook. Let me update the provider. That's a great idea, Chad. I'm glad you thought of it. All right, this should have deleted a whole bunch of code. I see another issue. We can't use hooks inside a callback. Look at how clean that looks. Way cleaner than before. Now let's update to use the restructured provider. Ownership cell is now using use ownership. We're wrapping the cell in the provider. I don't like that. I would like to wrap the row in the provider. Instead of wrapping individual cells with the provider, could you please wrap the entire row with the provider to reduce the total amount of code? Whoops, there were some typos. Instead of wrapping individual cells with the provider, could you please wrap the entire row with the provider to reduce the total amount of code? Earnings cell, ownership provider, releases table row. Those seem like the correct files being changed. We just want to optimize this code a little bit before pushing it to production. So first, it's going to update the row. And there's some code that's not being used here, so we can delete that. Now we've got an ownership provider. And this should result in fewer props being needed by the individual components because they can just reference them from the provider. Look at how short this component is. All that it does is it's just showing a value from the provider. This is way simpler than it was before. There's no props being passed in. Ownership cell's looking good. Earnings cell should be next. Earnings cell is now being updated. I'm loving how these changes are feeling now. This feels much cleaner. We're getting rid of a lot of code. Earnings comes from revenue times ownership percentage. That looks good. All right. Are we all good now? Let's check file by file. Earnings cell, I'm happy with. Ownership cell, happy with. Releases table row, looking good. We wrapped it in a provider. We deleted some code from those props, which are no longer being used, and now we have a new provider. This all looks awesome. I manage ownership percentage for a row in a provider instead of manually calculating inside of each cell. I manage ownership percentage for a row in a provider instead of manually calculating inside of each cell. Let's commit and push. And I'm going to continue with code review while it is deploying those changes. I'm not going to go into testing yet. So before, we had 33 lines added and none deleted. Let's see how that new change impacted our total net. 33 to 0 goes to 113 to 55. So we're writing way more code. 60 lines of net added code instead of 30. So we've over doubled the amount of net code added. Observing for now. You can see the cells are now way simpler. This cell, no more parameters, just shows the percentage. We've added a new column header inside of our row component. We're still about the same line of code. We went from 71 to 77 here. So the existing, I think I'm going to need to close the door. That noise is getting pretty loud. I'm going to turn down the TV a bit. Okay, and we're back. All right, we're in code review step. We have a provider that is wrapped around our row. That allows everybody in the row to be able to access ownership info. Ownership provider is the new provider. Code looks great. I'm happy with it. Let's post this inside of Slack, and then let's try to test the changes. This morning I will, okay, Sid's telling me what he's up to. And I'm going to go to code review. And inside of here, we say hashtag KoopRecs, because that's the project I'm building in. Paste the link for the Git pull request. Go to the ticket. Go back up to my first ticket. Copy the title. Paste the title. Write the word ticket. Copy the URL of the ticket. Add a hyperlink for the ticket so that it's easy to reference. And then I share. I verify we don't have any previews. There's no previews opening up. We're looking good. And now we are in the deployment step. And so I'll go to inspect. Close some of the tabs we're not using for now. And let's check out how these builds are going. Are they succeeding? Are they failing? Looks like we had an error on our latest build, but I think we might have fixed it. C is not a function. That's a very random error. I'm hoping that doesn't happen again. Yeah, we've already lasted another minute. I think this build's going to be successful. Created all server. Yeah, it's deploying. Seems like we are on a successful deployment. And because it's already live, I could visit it a little bit early and start seeing how the page looks. Go to the deployment preview, go to /earnings. I will take this and tell my team test here. It's going to then probably put in a massive preview. Yep, there it is. Let's close out of that. Keep our review clean. And here is so here's the table, and we can see the collaborators. I have not connected my wallet, and I still don't see the new column being added. It looks like it just finished deploying. If we refresh, do we see it? I now see a your earnings column, and it's showing 0 across the board. Let's see if that changes if I connect my wallet. I've been using Phantom as the wallet to deploy new music on Base. So I'll get my Phantom password, go into my Phantom wallet, make sure it's unlocked, and that it's in testnet mode because I'm testing on testnet. We use Base Sepolia testnet for testing. That allows us to have parity with Base mainnet while also giving me the freedom to create at will without worrying about gas or just my content showing up that I'm testing with as like a production release. Okay, moment of truth. Are we going to see your earnings now populate? Looks like I now see for anything that I have 100% on. I own 100% of 0, 100% of 0, 100%, 100% of 0. So it looks accurate. I'm not on any splits, but it looks accurate to me. Let's take a photo and let's get this shipped, and I'll verify with the team that they're seeing correct numbers later on, but it looks correct. And so I'm going to just ship it and then get feedback. Instead of spending extra time trying to verify if I'm doing it right, it looks, I send the ship emoji before I actually shipped. Silly me. Let's get this merged. Now let's move on to the next pull request. Take this, put it in here, and let's give a little ship. And we add a ship emoji to the top level message. And we're now done with our first pull request. We go back to roadmap, We put an X in the box. Please prepare your scratch pad for step 78. Tell it to prepare. While it's getting started setting up, we can see that the ticket for ticket 1 was automatically moved to done because we've linked our tickets to our pull request. And now let me link this ticket by copying the Git branch name in the top right corner, come back into my code base, check out 2, paste the name, create the branch, publish the branch. Once I do that, I will pull from main. And then we'll redeploy. And now let's check out the scratch pad. Current task, filter out 0% ownership songs, context. Currently showing all songs on the earning page regardless of ownership. Need to hide songs where connected wallet has 0% ownership. Already have ownership percentage calculated via the ownership provider. Required analysis, filter out songs with 0% ownership from the earnings table. Must check ownership before rendering the row. Should maintain existing sorting display for non-zero ownership songs. Handle loading states appropriately. Step 1, data filtering, use existing hook. Add filtering logic at the table level. Consider performance implications of checking ownership for all songs. Hi, princess. Hi. How are you, Kalani? You're good? Yeah. I saw you playing with your ball. You like that ball? We're in a new house. Yeah. So Kalani's figuring out what she likes, where she likes to sleep, what toys she likes to play with. We're all getting used to the new house. Okay. So overall looking decent. I'm not sure. I like that it knows that we already have the hook. You're thinking in the right direction. How can we leverage that new provider that you built to help us filter out the rows? While keeping total files changed to a minimum. Measure twice, cut once. I give it the initial instructions. I see how it's planning on doing it, how it has measured my input. If I think it's correct, we proceed with the correct measurements. If I think their measurements might be off a little bit, we tell it to reflect and keep going. Table row wrapper, this is what I wanted. Whoa, row. Yep. Okay, now we've got releases table row wrapper. Nice. This looks great. It created the row. I don't like that it created it. Please move the wrapper to its own standalone file. We've got a provider that wraps the row. The row wrapper then checks if it's 0. If it's 0, we don't render the row. Now we've got the wrapper in a standalone component. I'm going to delete these comments because I don't like comments. Code should be self-documenting. And then I think we want to update the rows to not have we have the provider duplicately imported here, right? don't even need correct English. As long as I communicate the general direction of the idea, the LLM, the model, can understand what I want it to do, and it can then update the code for me. Yes, let's check the row and remove the duplicate provider since we're now handling the ownership context at the wrapper level. Exactly what I want to happen. It's doing everything perfect so far. And so now it just starts with the table row. The row has no context has no awareness of the provider because that's happening at the row. It's happening at the table level. It's happening at a higher level. I'm not being very eloquent with my words right now. We add in the comment, we stage the changes, commit the changes, push the changes. And now let's see if it worked. Successful commit. We go over to Git, and now we are preparing for a review of the code changes. Go back to pull requests. We get auto prompted to open up the pull request for that new branch we're pushing. Compare and pull. Open the pull request. Now we take the pull request. We go into Slack. We say #KoopRecs because that's the project that I'm building in. Add in the link to the ticket. And let's now start getting the testing instructions. Okay. We take this link, we go to the link, we add /earnings to the end. So that way we can see the earnings tab. And I tell my team test here, paste the link, it opens up the preview, I close the preview. We're not connected, so let's connect our wallet. Well, actually, let's wait for the final deployment. I'm curious to see how this looks if my wallet's not connected. I would like to see if my wallet's not connected, an empty table, because my ownership percentage is 0 because my wallet's not connected. So the table should be empty. Let's see if that's the case. While we're waiting, let's start reviewing the code changes. We have updated the table body. It's now wrapping each row in an ownership provider, and then we have a wrapper here. The row is simpler. Instead of wrapping the row in an ownership provider, it just starts with the table row, a simpler component. And then we have the wrapper, which returns null if ownership percentage is 0. Otherwise, it returns the row. Code changes look good to me. Very simple. Total files changed. Net change 130 lines of code, 120. Total new lines of code added, 25 lines of code, 24 lines of code to be specific. So a pretty small pull request. Less is more, simple is best, small is beautiful. Keep changes small, iterate quickly, get feedback as early as possible. I don't need this. I should be able to refresh this page. I'm hoping because they all show 0, we see an empty table now. I see an empty table now. And so let's see what happens if I connect my wallet. If I connect my wallet, I should see all the drops where ownership percentage is not 0. Well, I guess let me cancel this first and show a screenshot. Wallet not connected, show no data, no rows in earnings table. And now if we do connect, let's try this again. The table should update to show me all of the rows where my earnings percentage are greater than 0. Automatically, before I've even finished signing, we saw that the table updated to show everywhere that my earnings percentage are greater than 0, which it looks like the only time that that happens is if I have 100% in this case. And so now I'm only seeing, whoops, wrong type of photo. After I've connected my wallet, I now see all of the songs where my ownership percentage is greater than 0. After I've connected my wallet, I now see all of the songs where my ownership percentage is greater than 0. This is looking good. I'm going to go ahead and ship it. Let's merge it, confirm the merge. And we share the status that it's been shipped. Add a little ship emoji, and that has now been shipped. 2 pull requests in, 46 minutes. 46 divided by 2 is 23, so we're approximately 23 minutes per pull request right now. Not the fastest cadence I've ever had, but also not the slowest. Let's start preparing for the next task. Please prepare your scratch pad for step 79. Let it run. Let's start. Make sure that the previous one was changed to done. It was. Copy my branch name. Come over to version control, tap the 3 dots, check out 2, paste the branch name, check out a new branch, publish the branch. Then we pull the latest changes from main. Pull from origin main. And then push those changes. All right. Scratchpad's ready. Current task update lifetime earnings calculation. Currently showing total platforms earnings in ETH. Need to show specific earnings for the connected wallet. Must calculate based off of ownership percentages. Need to include the USD conversion. Requirements analysis update the lifetime earnings to show the connected wallet's earnings. Calculate based on each song's total revenue. Connected wallet's ownership percentage per song. Sum up all owned songs. Include USD conversion. Only include songs where ownership is greater than 0. Implementation plan. Data calculation. Use existing use ownership percentage hook. Calculate per song earnings. Total revenue times ownership percentage. Sum up all the song earnings. Convert to USD using the current rate. Component updates. Earnings summary component. Reuse the ownership provider pattern. I'm not sure the provider makes sense here. Overall, it seems like it understands what I want. So let's just help proceed with implementing this feature. Using the earnings hook makes sense, but I'm not sure I understand how the ownership provider would be helpful in this context. Two pull requests so far. Why did it just do that? Use earnings. Stop. How do I get this to stop? There we go. Command Shift F. Okay, we roll back. Why did you create a new hook when we already have? What was this hook? Let's expand this and see what it was, but I don't think it was doing anything helpful. It was trying to use a provider to create a new hook. I don't understand what it's doing here. Are you sure you understand the requirements for this step? Hi, baby. Seems like you're getting better and better with being here. You're not hissing anymore. Misunderstood. Let's analyze what we actually need. We need to modify the existing lifetime earnings. Only sum up earnings from songs where the connected wallet has ownership. Calculate each song's contribution based off of that. No need for a new hook since we already have the ownership provider. It doesn't make. Let me look at the current earnings summary. Let's see what it's doing here. Earnings summary row, what? Stop. Command Shift Backspace. It still seems like you're trying to use the provider, which is not going to work in the context of earnings aggregated across multiple songs. You'll need to think through a different solution in order to get the ownership percentage. Please think deep and update your Scratchpad with your plan for implementation so that we can review your plan together. If you're just tuning in, we are building out earnings distributions on Base for musicians that are releasing music in the Coop Records ecosystem. Right now, when you earn on Coop Records, you're getting paid out automatically every 30 minutes on Base. And we have a page where you can go and see all those earnings. So that way it's easier for you, if you're a musician, to come in and see how much you're earning across your songs, which is better accounting, which makes it easier for a musician to look at their art as a small business. The current step that we're on is we want to update this lifetime earnings section up here with the actual amount that me, the connected wallet, has earned. Currently, we're showing the total earnings across the protocol on Base Sepolia testnet, regardless of the wallet that's connected. And so we want to update that to only show, just like the table below is only showing the percentages of the songs that I have a greater than 0% on. We want to do the same thing up top. And the big challenge we're running into right now is currently we've wrapped each individual row with a provider that gives us information of how much they own percentage-wise. But up here, we need to aggregate it across all the songs. And so I'm starting to reconsider whether our current provider architecture is correct or if we need to think through something else, which is why I'm going to have it updated Scratchpad. Problem analysis, current issue with my approach, trying to use ownership provider, which is designed for per row context. Need to calculate total earnings across multiple songs at once. Need to handle ownership percentages for all songs in a single calculation. We already have token infos, all songs and their mint data. Use ownership percentage hook that calculates ownership for a given royalty recipient and mint price constant for revenue calculation. What we need is a way to batch calculate ownership percentages, sum up the earnings only for the songs we have ownership, calculate total earnings before rendering. Create a new hook, use lifetime earnings. I love that. Use token infos as input. For each token, calculate the revenue, get ownership percentage using existing logic, calculate the earnings, sum up all the earnings, return total earnings in USD value. This looks great. This is looking way better. Let's see how this implementation comes out. Proceed with implementing the hook. Sounds perfect because if I can see the hook, I can verify if the logic looks correct or not. And if it looks correct, we'll proceed. And if it doesn't, we'll come back to the Scratchpad. Maybe Kalani was trying to tell me she wants to go outside. So I don't think she was talking before. And ever since I shut the door, she's now talking. She likes to spend a lot of time in her bathroom. All right, we've got the hook. Contracts and token infos. Earnings. Use ownership percentage. That doesn't seem right. But let's see if it works first. Yeah, but it's already saying a hook can't be executed more than once. So I'm thinking can we create a shared lib. Hi, princess. Hi, baby. I think you want to go outside. That's what I'm hearing. Is that what you're trying to tell me? Yeah? Well, I'm not hearing the noise anymore. So if you want to go outside, I'll open the door. You just want attention, or are you trying to talk? I'll take that as you're trying to talk. Let's reopen the door so that Kalani can go back outside. Are you trying to tell me you want to go outside? Is that enough space? All right. I don't know if that's what she wanted, because she's still over there looking at me. She walked outside for a second, but now she's still in. What are you saying, Kalani? What are you trying to tell me? She's so funny. I'm so blessed to have those kitties in my life. They're everything. Okay, where were we? Implemented. Okay, so the use split metadata. Is a hook, which is great. But it's only good for one. Let's go to 0x split stocks. We need to fix this build error. We can't use a hook in a for loop. Two, at use ownership percentage is calling the use split metadata hook in the at splits. Hi, babe. I hear you. How can I help you, Mama? What do you need? Yeah, you just talking? You just singing because it's a pretty day? What is it, babe? The little back leg kick makes me think you want to play. Is that what you want? You want to play? You're just chatting and walking in circles. Does she want to play or not? Oh, look how precious you are. Oh, there's your purse. Your purrs are coming out. I think she's a happy girl. Oh, look at you, baby. You look so beautiful today. Oh. Oh. Your purse sounds so great. You look healthy. You can go, oh, there you go. Flop on the ground. Look at that fluffy white belly. Oh. Hi, beautiful. Hi, beautiful. Oh. How can I make your day better? Do you just want my attention? I'll give you my attention. I want you to know how much I love you. Anytime you want to talk, you just tell me. And I'll stop so that we can have a chat. Okay. think she just likes my attention. Okay, and it looks like we don't have the 0x splits docs, so let me go back to here and let's try to go to 0x splits docs. docs.splits.org. We're just going to call it splits in the splits SDK, which we will also be unable to iterate over in a loop. Let me see if I can find the method I would like. Instead of having the UI or the AI try to find it, I think I might be able to find it a little bit better. Let's look at, so the React SDK is what we're using right now, and we're using the use split metadata. And it's calling the get split metadata function. Data client. It looks like use split metadata calls get split metadata under the hood. And now let's paste the links to the get split metadata. Question. What would it look like to call we pasted the same doc twice. Let's go to the get split metadata function and give it context of that. To call get split metadata, or is there another function? What's get related splits? Get all splits related to a current given address? Maybe. Get split earnings, get user earnings, get earnings by contract. And we can pass in contract addresses. Now I'm wondering if we want to use the get user earnings by contract, because what this would allow us to do is we don't even need to tell it the ownership percentage because the splits already know it. I'm starting to think get user earnings for get user earnings by contract seems like it could be perfect for our use case with only one call required, one API call required to get the lifetime earnings for the wallet, for the connected wallet across all splits contracts. We would only need to add the earnings for the connected wallet, which do not use a split 100% ownership. What would it look like to call get split metadata? Get user earnings by contract inside of @use lifetime earnings. Question. Please update your Scratchpad to think about this question. Took me a little bit of time to formulate that. The main reason is we have not gotten the answer. We have not gotten an answer I wanted to move forward for the past 2 iterations. So I wanted to spend more time really telling the LLM what it is I think the solution should look like to try to get the LLM back on track. I remember I was talking with someone in Buenos Aires about how it's an artist who was using AI to build videos. And she was saying how it's like guiding a baby. And the baby, as it takes a step, it might start to fall. And so you just use your hand to kind of keep it on its feet. And you just kind of keep your hands beside it so that it takes its step, it starts to fall, you keep it up. And so right now that's what I'm doing. I'm keeping my hands beside the baby. This LLM is a very raw level of intelligence. Whenever it starts to go off track, I just use my hand, spend a little bit of energy, push it back up so that it can get its balance again. And then once it's able to get correct footing, find its balance, come back to its bones, it's then able to proceed. All right. Current issue, using a hook in a loop which validates rules, making multiple API calls to get the split metadata for the ownership contract, not efficiently handling non-split contracts. Proposed solutions, use the user earnings by contract. It found a hook that I didn't even consider. Let's go back to the hook, React's SDK, use user earnings by contract. It found a hook that I didn't even consider. This is awesome. Nice. Make a single API call, returns earnings broken down by contract, includes both withdrawn amounts and active balances. This should be perfect. Proceed with implementing the solution. I'm not even going to check right now. Let's just see what you do. This is cool. Again, I was trying to guide it, and so I gave it specific docs. And then it didn't just listen to what I told it. It used its knowledge of the docs and the information I gave it to propose an even better solution. Splits provider, create public client. Splits provider. Do we not already have the Splits SDK provider? Do we have two Splits providers now? It does look like we have two providers. All right, so another misstep. We've created a new Splits provider, which was not correct. Let's roll back those changes. And now we come into Splits provider right here. Inside of our components, we should have another one. Components, providers, Splits provider. Yeah, this should not be here. So we will delete this Splits provider. Paste our original Splits provider. Delete this providers folder inside of components. We don't want that. Providers, delete. And then we should have Splits providers being used inside of index. Right now it's being imported from components provider. We just want it from providers. And now that should be fixed. At layout already includes the provider. Looks like we're getting close. Okay, it's now going to try to fix total earnings. We're now using a dynamic chain ID and an address, object.values, total ETH. I'm going to let it just iterate over this a couple times. It's checking the types from the SDK. Okay. balance.raw amount is, I think, what we want. Raw amount, format ether. It's no longer trying to do the big int conversions. This should have made some of those go away. And then the only one is this, which should be fixed with a simple enforcement of existence. And there it is. Looking pretty clean. Unsafe. Let's see what is going on with that error. And for the types, we can fix by explicitly typing. Okay. If it just doesn't like the types, let's see what it did. Continue. Let's see what it does. If it does anything more than like a one-line change, I'm just going to ignore this error because it's just a type error and I don't care about it, especially for an error. But let's see if it's able to do cleaner code changes than what I would have suggested in my own change. Let's reject this. And did it fix the error? No, it did not. Quick fix, disable for this line, and boom, that was a one-line change. And while we're here, let's delete. Let's find anywhere where we're hard coding ETH at 3K. And let's set that inside of our constants file. Can you please find any instance where we are hard coding ETH at $3,000 and please move that value into a consts file so it is easier to maintain across multiple files that are defining this hard coded ETH value? Can you please find any instance where we are hard coding ETH at $3,000 and please move that value into a consts file so it is easier to maintain across multiple files that are finding this hard-coded ETH value? I think that's what I said. I don't know where we got Italian. We're getting close. Hi, princess. Hey, baby. Now it's going to update the use lifetime earnings hook to use that. And then I also would love it to fix it any other place. Stake, fetch token, hi baby. Is this the only place where we've hard coded it? Okay. Yeah, that sounds correct. Is this hook already being used to display the lifetime earnings for the connected wallet on the web page? And then I think everything inside of this use memo can get defined inside of a standalone lib. Yeah, I don't think it's being used anywhere. Do we not already have a lifetime earnings component? Okay. Lifetime earnings, and then lifetime earnings. We didn't already have a folder for these components? ABI app. No, there's a high level components folder. Earnings page. I'm confused. Earnings page, then renders earnings page. Where's earnings page? Was earnings page already there? What was changed here? Earnings summary. Earnings page was using earnings summary. Let's reject. Whoa, where did it go? Earnings page, we're going to roll back these changes. Earnings summary. I guess lifetime earnings does make more sense. So we've got lifetime earnings. Please make minimal changes to this page in order to use your new component. There were a lot of changes in this pull request so far. Collaborators dropdown's been deleted. Why are we doing all these changes? We deleted a ton of files inside of the earnings folder. Undo. Undo. Anything that was deleted, I'm just going to add back in. It's like, why did it make so many changes? Releases table is missing. Okay, let's add the changes I want. The page. Sure, that looks fine. Earnings page. Also fine. Lifetime earnings is a new component. Let's add that. And then I think the rest use lifetime earnings hook. Price is constant file. Providers is now wrapping the splits provider from a new location. Splits provider was moved to providers, and we removed it from the components file. Split button. The rest of these we want to discard. All right, and inside of lifetime earnings, are we using lifetime earnings for contracts and token infos? We're using the account. And now I would like all this to be a standalone lib. Is it possible to move the selected code into a standalone library file? That way we don't need to wrap it in a use memo hook. Would that actually allow us to remove it from a use memo? The single responsibility principle more closely. Yes, we can extract the earnings calculation logic into a separate library file. This will improve code organization and make the hook focus solely on managing state and data fetching. Calculate lifetime earnings. Where is this being added? It's being added inside of, there's a lib with earnings. Use lifetime earnings. This file just got way shorter, but calculate lifetime earnings seems like it has errors. Please fix the errors in this file in a concise manner, making the minimum amount of changes and leveraging existing type from the 0x. Attempt number 1. Does this have any types? Starting to wonder if I made a mistake by trying to move this into a hook. Use lifetime earnings. Let's try going right into the hook. What is being returned inside of the user earnings by contract? I'm not seeing the return type. Let's try to dig into what we're using, because it returns formatted user earnings by contract. So then inside of calculate lifetime earnings, user earnings should be formatted user earnings by contract. Can we import this? Import, boom. No, it's not exported. Well, let's use user earnings by contract is returning this. It says export type, but I guess it's not exported where we need it. Is format earnings by contract. Types. How do we get the types? It's defined right here. Let's try using that right here. No, not there. Inside of here. And so if we do it here, is that going to work? Cannot find. I'm fine with that. Let's see if we can install it. Let's open up with Command J our terminal. And now we can say pnpmi, paste in the package name. We're working through type errors using the 0xSplits SDK. We've so far figured the hook that we want to use. I've done 0 testing for this. Looks like we've just added it, but I'm still seeing the error. So I'm going to, oops, that was hot. Comment it out. Wait till the red line goes away. Comment it back in. Save. Still saying it can't find it. So let me try finding the package.json. We should see the package. Types. What's the correct way to install this package? It seems weird to me that named the package types instead of the actual package name. We already have, which should include the necessary types, yeah. Let me check out NPM with that package. Whoops. I want this package. It looks like it should be inside of Splits SDK at 0xSplits. We only have Splits SDK React. So let's try pnpmi and then just get rid of the word types at the end. And now we're going to install the actual SDK. Yeah, let's definitely accept if it's making that change. And now it should add the correct path from the SDK, which I'm installing right now. Oh, does it work from the React package? No, it does not. Reject. Now we should be good. Now we're good. This is not being used. Okay. Contract earnings then is not being used, which means that token balance is also not being used. So what are we not liking? User earnings on an error typed value. What? Let's see what this takes us to. Earnings by contract should be a value on it. Stop. Be sure to reference the source types. And the source types will be right here. Let's close all the other files. How many files have we changed? Package.json, we installed those new files. The hook is still being made changes on, our lib as well. Splits provider is being updated. I think it's just being moved to a new location. On an error-typed value, user earnings is being defined as formatted user earnings, so it should have earnings by contract. Earnings by contract. Confused. Is valid. Why are we still getting user earnings, formatted earnings by contract? We need to use the exact type structure. What? No. Confused. Reject. How can I fix this? Let's also undo this change. Let's keep going back. On an error-typed value way. Let's check out what this type is a little bit closer. Formatted user earnings, withdraw active balances. Formatted user earnings by contract has formatted user earnings and earnings by contract. Formatted user earnings by contract should have earnings by contract. What happens if I say that? Or if I say that? I don't know what's going on right now. We're hitting type errors, and I really don't care for type errors, so let me just try to mute, disable for this line. But we're still going to see it on everything else. For each contract earnings. What is earnings by contract? Formatted earnings by contract. As formatted earnings by contract. Let's import it. I've already told you. Stop. Okay, this wasn't throwing any errors before when we had it inside of the hook. I know I wanted to keep it simple, but right now it seems like this is actually causing more headache. So I'm going to go back to the hook and I'm just going to define it inside of the hook as it was where it was working. Reject. Now we've got it all inside of the file, but at least we don't have any more errors. I would like to also uninstall that new package we added inside of package.json. Let's find the change so that I can uninstall that package. Let's remove this. npm remove. Goal is to keep moving forward. I was getting a little bit too pure in what I wanted out of the output, and so now I'm just going to make it work. Let's make it work first. We can make it right later. All right, let's add all these changes. Fewer overall files changed. Let's commit it with the roadmap and see if we get a successful deployment. Let's keep moving forward. Command-Shift-O, roadmap. Let's click into a file. Command-Shift-O, roadmap. Let's get the text, lifetime earnings. Copy this, paste it, commit it, push it. Add in an X, and let's start opening up the pull request. We've got one more after this. Let's see how we are looking. Let's go back to GitHub, go back to my pull request. We should have a new pull auto being prompted. Main, that doesn't make sense. There we go. I really don't want Rami to ship that password. That feels like a weird, that feels like a Band-Aid instead of fixing the symptom. I would prefer to fix the root cause instead of putting a Band-Aid over the symptom. And just adding a password instead of using on-chain data from base. The on-chain data from base feels way more robust with less maintenance, as opposed to adding a manual password protection that you need to maintain. It adds extra headache. It centralizes. Not a fan. But it's not my company. If they decide that they want to build it like that, best to them. Often I'm not asked for an opinion, and if I'm not asked for an opinion, I'm not going to give it. But right now we're on my live stream, and you're an hour and a half in, so if you're tuned in, this is deep into the recesses of my thoughts, and I'm building. So you get special access to hear how I'm thinking. Quick call to action. If you are tuning in and you're getting value out of this, please click the like button. Please retweet it so that more people can see how we're building a record label in public on chain with Base. And leave us a comment down below of if you're building a record label, any questions you have for how you can be implementing this. If you're an artist wondering how you can be getting instant payouts for your music instead of waiting 6 months, write down below that you're an artist and let everybody know your story. Give us a retweet, give us a follow, give us a subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. Any buttons you click on this video will help more builders see it, more artists see it, more record labels see it, so that we can help the music industry get on chain by building more of the infra that musicians need in order to build their career in the music industry in a sustainable way where they actually get paid and can live from their art with fewer middlemen, faster payments, and more ownership of the art that they're creating. It seems like our build is going to be successful, so I'm going to start coming over here. And prepare the testing instructions by adding earnings. Test here. It's going to give me a preview. I'll close the preview. Let's close that preview. All right, just finished deploying. I'm going to try refreshing. Hopefully it resets to 0. Moment of truth. Application error. Let's see what the error is. Nothing helpful here. We're seeing error loading earnings. Lifetime earnings. If error in the case of an error, instead of showing error loading earnings, please show the normal lifetime earnings component. No. There is no connected wallet. We should show, instead of the lifetime earnings component, a connect button to prompt the viewer to connect their wallet in order to see earnings data. In the case that there is no connected wallet, we should show, instead of the lifetime earnings component, connect button, a connect button to prompt the viewer to connect their wallet in order to see earnings data. I want to fix this before I connect my wallet to verify that the experience is going to be smooth enough for a musician to come in and use this. Right now, if we send a musician to this page and all that they see is an error message, they're going to send a screenshot of this to Coop. And Coop's going to come to me and say, an artist is saying they can't access their earnings. What do they do? And so I just want to not allow that to happen. If I'm trying to access the earnings page and I have not connected my wallet, instead of showing an error, which is scary, this is normal behavior. And we would like musicians to connect their wallet so that way they can see the earnings for their connected wallet. Lifetime earnings. Yeah, this component's getting longer. I'm not super happy, but it did what I asked. Show connect button if wallet is not connected. In the lifetime earnings component. In the lifetime earnings component, close enough, a little bit of grammatical errors, but I am not a grammar teacher and these are commit messages. Let's put in X, we've already done it. The only thing after this is going to be a withdraw button. But actually, I think it might have gotten fixed in this pull request. Because usually there's a withdraw button over here, which existed in the earnings component, but we deleted the earnings component. I'm sorry, we deleted the earnings summary component, I believe it was called. Let's check over here. No, we didn't delete it, it's still in here. Let's delete it. We want to find the components, earnings summary. This component, I believe, is no longer used. Find it. I don't see it being used anywhere. You're going to get deleted. Delete you. Earnings summary. Delete unused component. Make sure to add it, commit it, push it. All right, coming back to our code review, we should be prompted to refresh now. Now we go from 7 files to 8, including the deletion of earnings summary. The page, we just reordered the imports and used absolute imports instead of relative imports. We replaced on the earnings page, earnings summary went to lifetime earnings to make it a little bit more clear. Earnings summary was deleted. Lifetime earnings was created. Ooh, why are we using injected here? What's injected being used for? I don't like that we have injected there. No, this is not correct. Instead of building a new Connect Wallet button, is there an existing component we could leverage to reduce the amount of duplicated code? Yes, please search. I don't like that we're manually using the injected lib. Let's give ourselves a little bit more space. Login button, we can use, already uses Privy for authentication, has proper styling. Sounds like you figured it out. What time is my next meeting? 2:45. Current time 1:22. We've now removed that injected. I'm feeling happy. Lifetime earn. Whoa. Lifetime earnings. Connect button. Commit and sync. We could definitely be optimizing this code. Thinking about it now, reflecting, if we had started with the lifetime earnings instead of starting with the rows, we would have gotten the earnings using one single method at the top highest level. And we could have then passed all that information down to the lower level components with fewer API calls needed in the lower level components. Instead, I started with the individual rows, and we're making additional calls inside of each row. We're making a call, and at the top level, we're doing an aggregate call. And so there's some redundancy there with the top level call, doing one single call to get all the data. And then inside of each individual row, we are making an individual call for that individual row, which scales by the number of rows that we have for the number of API calls. It makes more sense as we scale the record label to have the one call that gives us all the data and pass that data to the individual rows with no calls happening in the individual rows. For fewer calls, faster page loads, and code that's easier to maintain and easier to understand with data flowing from the top all the way down instead of more queries happening at the lower levels. For now, I've already built this. I don't want to spend too much time on making it right. We want to focus on just making it work first. And as long as people don't complain about the performance, it's not something that we need to worry about. Lifetime earning, no comments in there, looking good. I don't like all the comments in here, so let's go to use lifetime earnings and delete this. That's redundant. Get earnings from split contracts. Assert address is non-null since we will handle the null case and use memo. Handle loading and error states. Add earnings from the split contract. Add withdrawn amounts for each token in the contract. Earnings from non-split contracts. Skip if contract uses splits. If wallet is direct recipient, add full earnings. Okay. Save the changes. Add the changes. Remove dev login. Use lifetime earnings. Let's resolve. This is the main change, is this hook. Added the consts, moved the provider to where it's supposed to be, updated the split, looking good. Let's monitor the deployments to see when we can start to test this. We're building. What was the last deployment that happened? Deleted unused component. Show connect, but I think we should be good to test. Let me try to refresh this page. I'm hoping now instead of showing this error, we show the actual login button. Connect wallet to view earnings. I click the button. I don't like that it's trying to use the injected wallet here. Let's see what the latest. Okay, so in this latest deployment, we're going to be using a newer connect button. You can see here it's trying to manually just use an injected provider, which is not what I want. I want it to open up Privy, which allows me to log in with whatever wallet I'm using, whether it's a injected wallet, email wallet, some other external wallet that's not injected. There's a lot of cases where we don't want to just use injected, and that's one of the reasons we use Privy, is Privy allows us to have more a dynamic login and authentication experience. So we want to be leveraging that instead of just using WAGMI, which is a more bare bones implementation of authentication on chain. You boys getting hungry. I would like to wrap this up. I think this is the last PR I'm going to need to do for the day, because this is also getting rid of the withdraw button over here. We had a withdraw button before, as we can see inside of our changes in the earnings summary section, I believe. Earnings summary. If we expand that file, we can see in here we have the withdraw button, which we don't even want. So it's being deleted. We got 2 birds, 1 stone. And I think the final deployment has finished. No, it's still in process. No, it has finished. All right, let's try it again. Refresh. I'm hoping these buttons look the same. Connect your wallet to view the earnings. Connect our wallet. Let's connect with Phantom. Now we're using Privy for authentication. Everything feels much more robust and high quality than when we were just using WAGMI. I need my login because Phantom always needs me to enter in a password. It's one of the things I don't like about Phantom. Connect. Already is loading in everything. Oh, it looks like it still had errors. Loading the total earnings. It says I should be getting prompted to sign. You prompting? Oh, there you are. Confirm. Can I read properties of undefined? Reading ID on success. We are connected. We're no longer loading. We got to the error state with an error. Let's add logging, console.log. Lifetime earnings, total earnings, USD value is loading an error. Adding dev logging. I add temporary dev logging. I've just added more dev logging, which is being deployed now. Here's the current errors I see in the web console. Please update your Scratchpad to consider these errors, which are resulting in a connected wallet seeing I'm going to take a screenshot of the page, not including the console. Let's take this photo and give it to the chat. And let's let the chat start thinking through the errors while I'm deploying a new change. Keep me small-brained. All that I did was add in some console logging. Let it do the deeper thinking. Let it do a build, see if I can get more info. What happens if I refresh the page? Do we still have that error? Maximum number of calls is not the error. Wallet should already be connected. So I'm surprised it's asking me to connect again, but I guess let's do it. User is already logged in. Is connected is coming from use account. We don't want to use account here. We want to be using Privy. Nope. Don't be making any of those changes. I just wanted you to investigate. Lifetime earnings. I don't remember what I was doing. I got distracted. Current issue is that we're seeing errors. We're not seeing the loaded component. And I would like, instead of, let's go to lifetime earnings. Please use the Privy SDK instead of use account hook to determine whether to show the connect button. Please use the Privy SDK instead of the use account hook to determine whether to show the connect button. I think we want the same thing here. Update both. Update both the component and the hook. And now let's say reference at Privy docs. How are we doing on deployments? Looks like our latest has been deployed. Let's see if we get any better logs. Inside of my component, I've added logs. And so let me filter by the prefix I have added. Lifetime earnings. This should show me the specific logs I'm looking for. Use Privy, authenticated. If not authenticated, that looks beautiful. Okay, I'm still seeing the error, and I'm also not seeing my logs. That's concerning. It's very concerning because I see a component which should be showing me the logs. Let's try refreshing the page. And I think we might already have a use wallets hook. Use wallet. We have a use wallet client. Yeah, we want to use this. This is probably good. I don't need to overthink this too much. Use Privy SDK instead of WAGMI hooks to determine if wallet is connected. Commit. Sync. Very concerning I'm not getting any logs. Well, if you got the poison, I got the remedy. The remedy is the experience. I've added the logs. I'm not seeing. I had temporary dev logging. 625, is that where we're at? We're at 625. Why am I not seeing the dev logging I've added? Let's try just clearing the filter. What's the issue? Error loading earnings. I'm not seeing any of my logs. Are they inside of logs? On the server side? It's found 3,000 logs. Stake, whole lot of endpoints. All right. The question is why? Why are we seeing error loading earnings? Use lifetime earnings. Use user earnings by contract, chain ID, user address, and then contract addresses. And so then we need here contract addresses, contract.contract address. That already looks better. What happens if I remove that? Nope, still showing error. What other options do we have? I think that's just it. I add array of contract addresses to use user earnings by contract. Let's commit, but before I push, I would like console.log user earnings, loading, and error. Use lifetime earnings, dev logging, commit, sync. How are we doing on latest deployments? Any big changes over here? Privy SDK was just finished, and now dev logging for use lifetime earnings. Let's try refreshing the page, delete all the logs, see if we get any logs that are helpful. Now I'm not seeing the table even. Let me try refreshing. That's weird. Let's see what changes I made. Lifetime earnings was updated. Use lifetime earnings was updated, but nothing related to the table. What about here? Why is our table now not working is my question. Oh, there it is. It just needed some time, I guess. But I'm still not seeing any of the dev logging I've added. Very confused as to why I'm not seeing any dev logging. Because we're getting to this is error, so it should be hitting all these console logs, but it's not. I'm curious. All right, we're in the deployment step. I'm gonna try it on a new page, a new tab. Let's go to /earnings. Okay, we're still getting the error. Am I seeing any logs? I'm not seeing logs. I might need to debug this locally. Wrapped error, retries exceeded. Uh-oh, my mouse is stuck. I think I major lag between and it appearing on my terminal sentence after I typed in pnm dev, and now it is finally. It's a big lag. I'm not hearing my at all, which is weird. When I'm live streaming, it's so. I think I need to end the stream and start my computer because this is stopping me, and I'm going to be testing this locally. So what has been changed? We start today's stream with a page that did not the connected wallet and showing how much is being earned, which songs to display. We've since updated the past 2 hours. We've updated this page on KoopRex around base on chain to only in the last step that I'm working, showing the total earnings to be across the protocol. I'm ending the video now, so do some debug. Locally without the burden of the server that is running when I use Restream in today. If you got any value in this video, as always, please click the button, leave a comment below, give us a follow or a tweet depending on the platform you're on, and I'll be back in a couple